Thank you, Madam MC, for that heartwarming and vivid introduction. Sir President, dear Toastmasters and guests, good evening to you all. My fellow Arabic speakers, with a show of hands, how many of you have ever heard of the proverb of اسأل المجرب ولا تسأل الخبير? Wonderful, a fairly popular proverb, yes? In English, it means ask the experienced rather than an expert. The first time I was told this, I didn't quite understand what was meant by it. The first time, I'm sorry, but does an expert hold no credibility over an experienced individual? Or why wouldn't you ask an expert? Sorry. You see, that right there was my mistake. I tend to overthink and overanalyze every situation. And in this case, a mere proverb. Perks of being an English student. This enigmatic sentence, straining my every brain cell with constant whispers of indecipherable wisdom haunting my most pleasant of dreams, creating an almost endless pit of murk and gloom inside of me, which my mental delved deeper and deeper into, until one lazy summer night, I receive a phone call from a friend of mine, Iyad, which isn't actually his name. I answer the call, and the first thing I hear is him snuffling. I asked him what was wrong, but it was difficult to make out what he was trying to say. Although one thing was for certain, I had to check up on him. And so I rushed over to his house. I rang the doorbell. The door opened and a dark, tall figure emerged. Through the moonlight's gleam upon its head, I was able to distinguish the figure. It was Iyad's father. He bluntly goes, "What do you want?" And I responded with another question, "May I see Iyad?" He doesn't say anything and merely steps aside for me to come in. I quickly went up to Iyad's room. I knocked on the door, and the door was apparently unlocked. I lightly pushed the door open, and in his room, I found him sobbing on the couch with a pile of used tissue lying next to him. My immediate thoughts were, what the? An awkward silence befell the room. In an attempt to break the awkward silence, I asked him, "You okay?" And he goes, "Do I look okay?" And I thought, whoa, way to go, Sherlock. Again, I asked him, what was wrong? And he answered, "My fiance left me." Shockingly, I asked when, why, and how. He responded, "Earlier today, she fell for somebody else and called it off over the phone." And I went, whoa, that's harsh. And so the talking went on and on throughout the night. I kept him company and offered him advice as I was somewhat in a somewhat similar situation. So I kind of understood where he was coming from. However, he did not listen to a single word I had said. Instead, he opted for something called a relationship coach, an attempt to win her back. He had hourly sessions with this so-called relationship coach, wherein he received proper guidelines on what to do, what to say, and that came at a great cost. Iyad paid big bucks for those sessions. And so this goose chase lasted for months. But in the end, it was all for naught. Iyad was left lonely, heartbroken, and most importantly, broke. As I watched him grow more and more hopeless in his vulnerable state, I had a sudden urge to let out a big, "I told you so." But no, 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 I kept my peace. And then it hit me. Don't ask an expert, because an expert only does it because it's their job. They don't care what's best for you. They just want your money. Thank you, and back to you, Madam MC.